How would you like to land your dream job in a 3D industry? 3D Training Institute is launching a monthly Studio Recruiter webinar series. Whether you're an aspiring professional or completely new to 3D, benefit by hearing the answers to the industry's big questions, such as what are studio recruiters looking for when making hiring decisions, and how can you get started learning a 3D software package today? Stan Szymanski, founder of Stanley Vision, is a senior visual effects, animation, and digital media executive with over 30 years of experience in talent acquisition, artist management, and production and studio operations management, and will be featured as the inaugural speaker in this webinar series, sharing his wealth of knowledge about the inside workings of the industry on how to get hired, what recruiters are looking for, and tips for creating and building a successful career in a 3D world. Listen in as Stan shares one of his insider tips.
Hi, this is Stan Szymanski. I'm President and Chief Resource Strategist for Stanley Vision, and I'm here to talk to you today about landing your dream job in 3D. We've talked a little bit about what the jobs are. Today we're going to talk about what the jobs pay. So first off, there's a few general questions that you'll need to be aware of when you're out there negotiating and talking to companies about going to work for them. At the point where you're discussing dollars and cents, you're going to be talking to them about either an annual salary number, could be a weekly number, might be hourly. The thing you're going to need to know is what exactly is their overtime policy. The position that you're talking to them about, is it eligible for overtime? If it is eligible for overtime, is it paid after 8 hours, after 10, after 40? You'll need to know this. Is it time and a half? Is it double time? So just, have a cheat sheet of questions and just ask this of the people that are hiring you. They're not going to think you're a pain. They're going to appreciate how professional you're being. Another thing to consider is that benefits are indeed a part of your compensation package. So you'll need to find out what benefits the company offers, if any, and realize that if a company does offer benefits, they do consider it to be part of your overall compensation package. So that would mean they're assigning dollar amounts to vacation, pay time off, parking, holidays, personal days, meal supplied, all of that kind of stuff. So please be aware, find out what the benefits are, and consider that the benefits are usually factored in as part of your overall compensation. So when you get the job and you sign with the company, be aware of the dollar amount you're accepting. Is this dollar amount going to be in existence for a project? Is it for a year? Or is it indefinite? Find out what the performance and salary increase policies are for a company. Also, you're going to need to look at cost of living adjustments. That's what COA stands for, and exchange rates. The numbers I'm going to show you, these are all California rates. California rates are higher than elsewhere in the country. So if you're looking at some of these jobs in other states, you could be looking at 15 to 25% less in terms of salary, and that's just because it's cheaper to live in Albuquerque, New Mexico than it is to live in Los Angeles. If you're going to work in Canada, for example, you're also going to be looking at 15 to 25% less, and you have to deal with the exchange rate. So you need to be aware of what the exchange rates are. And you also need to find out from the company, is the exchange rate they're hiring you for, is it set at the beginning or does it fluctuate? These are all really important things for you to know. Okay, so now let's look at creative salaries. First up is the senior story artist at around 160s, in the 160s. Next up is the visual development artist in the 140s. And I'm listing senior and junior level to provide you with an indication of the range of those positions. All of these positions typically have an intermediate level as well. The story and visual development artists, these are more highly paid because they are the people developing the content. They're writing the stories, they're creating the characters, they're building the environments. So they command higher salaries than the artists who are creating the imagery. So if you look at a 3D modeler or an animator, you'll see that the numbers are lower because in these positions, you're using technology to create the characters, the environments, the stories that have been developed by the story and visual development people. Also under creative, senior lighting artists, compositors, matte painters, they're all roughly at around the same range. There are definitely more creative categories than this. I'm not giving you the whole exhaustive range. I'm just taking kind of a snapshot to give you an indication. When you look at technical salaries, the first thing I chose were technical director positions. These live somewhere between creative and technology. The first ones that I list are some of the more difficult ones to fill. Tends to be more of a demand than a supply in the marketplace, and the work is pretty complex, so the salaries reflect that. Senior effects technical director in the 140s is someone who's going to be creating water, smoke, flames, fire, debris, bullet hits. This is very complex stuff to be able to do, so they're paid accordingly. Character riggers are the ones that are taking a 3D model of a character and they're turning it into a puppet that can be animated. This is also very complex to do and do well, so the salaries reflect that. Next up would be a shader writer, which is somewhere between a software engineer and a lighting artist. The shader writer is writing custom software that allows you to light a scene and a character. I'm also showing you dynamic simulation, which is a fancy way of saying cloth, hair, fur, feathers. In some companies, it can also be crowd simulation as well. And you'll see that that number is a bit lower than effects. Now we're looking at the software development side of the technical area. So you're seeing software engineers reflected in tool developers and pipeline engineers. These salaries are in the 130s and 120s. I'm also showing a senior system administrator, which is similar to an information technology person. These numbers are more support, and their salaries reflect the nature of their position. Now we're going to look at production management salaries. So you're seeing the hierarchy of production management laid out here. An executive producer is the most senior person in a facility or on a project. They're typically determining the schedule for the project, the budget for the project. They're doing all the client interaction and providing overall executive supervision on a project. And their salary of $200,000 reflects this responsibility and this degree of work. These positions are often bonus eligible as well. Next up would be a visual effects and/or animation producer, which are in the 150s. Then I'm showing you a digital producer and a senior production manager, which are both in the high 120s. These positions are very similar, and in some companies are interchangeable. Next up would be coordinators in the 40s. Below the coordinators are entry-level positions of production assistants, and they typically pay somewhere in the low 30s annual per year. Now we're looking at facility management. The president and managing director of a facility could be anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000. It really depends on the size of the facility and the volume of work that goes through it. And of course, the number can be lower as well. Somebody at ILM is certainly going to be making a hell of a lot more money than somebody who works at a 50-seat shop. And these numbers are usually bonus eligible as well. Next up would be head of production at $200,000, a department head at $150,000. Then you have artist management in the 120s. And then I flushed it out with a couple other facility positions, production accountant at $110,000, a trainer at $109,000, and a recruiter at roughly around $80,000. So I encourage you to do some research on your own. These are some of the sites you might want to take a look at. Animationguild.org and IATSE.com. These are both union sites. There's quite a bit of information on these sites. You can also see the negotiated contracts for various companies, such as Disney, Sony Pictures Animation, and Nickelodeon will be located on these sites as well. Some of the more private sites, VFX Wages, Dice, Glassdoor, their information is a bit all over the map, but there could be some pretty useful things in there as well. I would also throw in there the Visual Effects Society and possibly SIGGRAPH. It's a good idea to just keep researching this and see where salaries are trending. So hope this helps. I'm Stan Szymanski, president of Stanley Vision, Inc. Feel free to go to our website and check out a little bit more about job searching tips, look at some of the positions we're looking to fill, and hopefully this information will be helpful to you as you go about landing your dream job in 3D.
For more tips like these and the opportunity to speak live with Stan, we invite you to reserve your seat now and register today for our inaugural webinar, January 21st.